Live from 864 Sound in Greenville, South Carolina, it's the Wash Bros Podcast with your hosts, Matt Jackson and Clay Smith.
What's up, guys? It's Matt Jackson and Clay Smith, and we are the Wash Bros. Thanks for tuning in. We're at episode 11 now, and I think this is going to be relevant to us right now because we're in the busy season, and we're going to talk about like our margin and our time in the day, and how do we utilize like time management to make sure that we can go after our goals and successfully run our businesses without just burning ourselves out and into the ground. So you want to kick this thing off?
It could definitely be exhausting. I would say that, especially with my personal experience.
And it's 8 o'clock at night on a Sunday or 9 o'clock at night on a Sunday.
Yeah, we're at 9 o'clock at night on Sunday doing this, so we're already trying to squeeze this in.
Yeah, it's like, all right, we got one time we can fit this in during a week.
Yeah, so that's how I always kick it off. Yeah, so, but anyway, for me, it's like, am I going to let the day run me or am I going to run the day?
That's a good one.
So I'm always trying to figure out, like, okay, how can I put myself in the best mood to make sure that my customers are getting the highest quality of me, getting the highest quality of my business, and the highest quality of my work?
That's a reel right there.
Yeah, so
snippet.
I mean, I always watch these motivational quotes and stuff.
TikTok.
So and they really get me going. I think it's a great thing that a lot of people put out there. Especially, you know, you can hashtag motivation. If you need motivation, you can go hashtag motivation. TikTok, that's my thing. Instagram, Facebook Reels, all that stuff. That's how I get my motivation. Go to Spotify. Hey, I need a motivational, somebody to lift me up more than a Red Bull in the morning. So
shoot, my TikTok and Instagram is just cats and duck videos. Like,
yeah,
you know,
maybe a little bit of racing, right?
Yeah, a little bit of racing.
Yeah, or flowers.
Oh, yeah.
You're the flower guy,
I'm
right?
the flower girl.
Flower girl. It's funny. I have a friend. In a couple months, it's next year. I think next May. They want me to be the flower girl or whatever.
You can be whatever you want to be.
I got to do
today's
the
world.
little dance thing. I can't dance. I have no rhythm. Have no idea how that's gonna work. But we're gonna do it somehow.
You'll be the Bud Light flower girl.
Yeah, the Bud Light flower girl. I don't know how that would go, but we would try that.
Yeah, right.
I'd probably but. Yeah, so are you gonna run the day, or are you gonna let the day run you? I think when I was in the car business, it was always win the day. So that's the biggest thing I try to do is I try to win the day. And I'm not a perfect person. Obviously, sometimes the day's gonna run me.
It's true. There's a lot of unknowns in our business, like mechanical failures or customer issues or the weather.
But I think it's how you handle it. Like, how are you gonna handle it? How are you gonna make the best of that day to try to be productive?
Absolutely.
Whether it be a phone call, booking more jobs, rescheduling jobs, how are you going to be productive in that day when everything is going all to shit?
Exactly. And to know that when it's going all to shit, it's not consistently going to go that way. It's the bad, and then it's about to get good. It's like when you're cold calling people, oh, you keep getting no's. Well, no's going to bring you closer to yes. It's like, so pick up the phone.
Yeah.
And like the same mindset can be applied to the rhythm you have of the day. And it's just like, oh man, my hose blew. Okay, well, I gotta get a brand new hose. Well, on the bright side, I'm gonna have a brand new hose for the next 3 weeks, and it's gonna be awesome.
It's like it's trying to figure out. It's like a puzzle. It's trying to figure out how you can take or a math problem. How are you going to take all these negatives and make them into a positive?
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing is trying to stay motivated. You don't want the day to run you, because at the end of the day, literally, it's going to bring you down. You're going to get in a state of depression. You're not going to get anywhere, and you're going to be like, crap, why don't I just go back to my regular job, and I don't know what I'm
Correct.
doing here.
I mean, like a regular job, they are running your day.
Yeah.
So if you're in,
They're running you and running your day.
and that's what people need.
Yeah.
And that's why
Some people need it,
to be employees.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Correct. It's just like, what is your preference? If you're somebody like me, probably Clay, it's like, hey, I want to fight that person trying to tell me what to do every second of every day. So I have to run my own day. But that requires a lot of self-motivation and awareness of how I have time management. And you're at that point now where you're so busy and there's so much going on and there's so much like failure that happens due to stuff out of our control that we have to have ways of like allowing ourselves to breathe during the day and not getting like hung up on all this BS that happens to us. And then it's like, hey, being flexible, baking in, I call like margin or like space for stuff to happen. And I know we just talked about our goal setting, and one thing too, like in my scaling phase, is like I want all these numbers, but I'm not the one doing the work anymore. So I'm not gonna like slave drive my guys to the point where they're going to burn out and quit on me.
And then you're going to be in a worse
Yeah.
situation you was in
So I
before.
almost have to have like a leadership thinking of like them as opposed to just me personally. And you almost have to do that even if you're an owner operator. Like, how am I looking out for myself before like I look out for my customers? You're taking care of all your customers, but if you don't put yourself first, you're never going to be able to like pour into your customers, your family, and you're going to have no margin at the end of the day. So it's like self-care is important. And like you don't want everything to steamroll you, and you don't want like a tidal wave of the day to knock you out, because it's like there's no end in this. And that's what people, they get into entrepreneurship. They're like, oh, I'm my own business now. I do what I say. I like I'm in control. It's like this never ending game, and it's a sun up to sundown, and all day and all night.
Yeah, like my issue, I would say, is I like have my brain on it. It's like on autopilot of work. So it's like, how do I shut my brain off to get away from work?
Absolutely.
Because it's almost like it chases you. It's like the devil. It's always around and it never wants to go away.
Yeah, exactly. Whenever you think you're clear, it's like, oh, something else is coming on.
Oh yeah, you think you're finally ahead, and then your phone dings again, and you know, Saturday afternoon you're having fun, you think you're finally away from work, and then ding, it goes off again, and you're like, crap, man. So sometimes I just shut my phone off.
Yep. And it's it's a learning thing too, because in the beginning I was so motivated and ambitious to be like, the first 5 minutes I'm going to respond to every text message and phone call, and I had to bake in time. Now I have to like put in time on the weekends and be like, hey, look, I'll like respond to somebody, but I'm going to take a day and a half to get back to them and just communicate that, as opposed to like stop everything I'm doing and try to like put something on the books. And understand like, hey, I'm a human being at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And most people understand that, and we can get caught up in our own ambition of like, oh, I have to do this, like scarcity mindset. And we can like come at the cost of like our personal lives and our families' lives and like our kids' relationships. And then like, if you don't have time to like decompress on the weekend, you're going to roll all that anxiety into the next week. And then you're going to get 6 weeks into the busy season and you're like, I'm over this, I'm gonna quit.
You're gonna have a mental breakdown.
Yeah, you're gonna have a mental breakdown. So it's like I've had to learn how to bake in kind of like stops where I can allow myself to breathe a little bit. And it's like, hey, I'm not gonna think about work today, or I may lose people, but I don't care, because I don't like, if somebody needs something right here and this fast, I don't want to work for that person. Like, I have to prioritize me. And it's like, since I've been scaling, I always have more on my plate for the day than I can do in the day. And it's like, how do I not drop the ball of the things that's the most important? And I think that's the big thing. It's like, if you're like juggling plates and you try to catch every plate, you're going to drop them all. It's like, how do you identify the important plates and catch those that allow you to carry yourself to the next day and be successful?
It's definitely tough. Especially if you're new, man. I mean, like you said, the scarcity thing or whatever, it's very tough, especially as a new person in business, because you want to try to take everything you can, because when you're first getting started, you're not getting all those calls, you're not getting all those leads, you know, and I jumped in, you know, ankle deep in the slow season. So it's like, I got to take everything that I can. And when it gets busy, I know it was for me, like in my head, like you're not realizing what all you're getting yourself into when you're doing it.
And two,
because
like,
you've never been through it. Obviously.
Yeah, you can work 100% or 1,000% effort and say, "Oh man, I did $20,000 this month." But when you get to that higher threshold, you're like, "I literally can't work any harder than this." Like, I'm starting to see like diminishing returns on my effort right here, and it's starting to like downward spiral me, like performance wise and mental health wise, and like as a person. And then it's just like, how do I figure out how to like back off on that hustle that got me to this certain point? And it took me a couple of years to be comfortable and confident enough in myself and my business to be like, I can breathe a little bit here, and if something's falling through the cracks, it's okay.
Yeah, it's like the sun up to sundown. Is it worth the 30? Like for me, it's like, is it worth the $30,000+ that I made this past month, or do I need to kind of kick back a little bit and take it a little easier? It's all about what you want, all the goals that you want, the goal setting. Hey, you know, because obviously I'm pretty young, so I don't mind working.
Yeah, how long are you trying to do this for? Or do you have any, like some people, they have like, I got a gun to my head, I need to come up with this money right now. Okay, you should probably push a lot of debt
you're trying to push off, or you trying to pay something off. I mean, there's all kind of, everybody's different. Everybody has different goals. Everybody has different debts. I mean,
yeah, like we got a buddy, he works full time, and he was saying that, hey, I'm just pressure washing pretty much to pay off my student loans. And like, once I do that, I might just go back to my regular day job, and
Yeah,
I don't
cool.
necessarily care.
Yeah, everybody has their own goals.
So like, if you're trying to do it for a long time and say, hey, I want to have a business for like 10, 15 years, have some self-care baked in there. That way you're not killing yourself.
Yeah,
Like
it's
if there's no end in sight, it's going to be really depressing, and you're going to have anxiety, and it's going to be like your entire life is going to be based upon like how your business is doing.
it's like with me. Do I want to go and like have a vacation coming up in a few weeks? Do I want to go and do this big job that pays a lot of money by myself, or do I want to team up with 3 or 4 guys, like, you know, obviously with your company, and just split it and enjoy my vacation versus
I've learned
crouched
that.
over with my back hurting
I've
all
learned
the
that a
time.
lot. I mean, and kind of my business partner who helps me with a lot of stuff. I would not be able to be in the position I am today without just mentally the ability to offload or know that somebody's in your corner and say, hey, look, we're going after some like scary, like BHAG, like big, hairy, audacious goal. Like these are stupid numbers, but like you have a team in place where you can do it. Like not just on the employee side where like the technical work's being done, but like just like mentally to know, okay, there's somebody else involved in this with me, whether they're not like the same like involvement I am, but just knowing that you have somebody in your corner can offload a ton of like mental stress.
Yeah, you can slowly get there. You don't have to do it overnight.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And some people, they think the opposite. Like, you got to do it overnight and you got to boom. You want to be the biggest, baddest dude around. But obviously it takes a.
oh, look how, yeah. I mean, just the tides are always turning, and we're always seeing big dogs leave the industry, and there's reasons for it. It's like, hey, the most satisfying thing that I see for me is like the chase up. And then you get to the top and you're like, oh, this is stupid. What's the next mountain I can climb?
Yeah, why did I want this?
Why did I want this? You look around and you're like, it's kind of boring. Like I was so ambitious and so hungry coming up. And then when I finally get to that top dog status, I'm not fulfilled.
Yeah.
And then it's like, there's something greater in us that we're lacking, and we're using business as a vehicle as opposed to like face whatever is in us that we truly want to go after.
You see that with a lot of people, though. Like, that's what they're chasing after. All they're wanting to chase is, like, I guess, their ego. Like,
Yeah.
It's just.
Yeah. It's like, exactly. So it's like the focus should be on like, how do you take care of yourself personally so you can do business like ethically and have like a greater cause behind your work. And a book actually I was reading, I'm trying to think what the exact thing was. It pretty much talked about like you have a purpose or a path, and then you have like an application, which you could say is like your job. So it's like, hey, I want to be a good person to other people and like show them potential and opportunity, and I'm going to do so in the vehicle of my business that's like pressure washing. So like everybody in my pressure washing business I want to touch and be like, shine light and say, hey, look, here's opportunity, here's potential, here's a cool way of me expressing like my personality through this. This isn't my identity. And I think some people get into business and that's their identity. I was like, they're boring, or they're people that thinking, oh, the title that I have now is my identity, as opposed to saying, oh, this is just like a cool way of me connecting with other people.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people want to make stuff political. You know, they want to say that, oh, you said this, so that means this.
Yeah.
And
they always
want to speak, you know, they always want to seek the negative and try to make you to be the bad guy when that was really never the case. And, you know.
Correct. Yeah. People
have different mindsets. So
yeah. And the cool thing to me I like about business is you find a lot of different mindset, or you find people who have like a driver mindset and they're very open-minded because they're taking a jump and a risk, and they're leaning into like, I'm in this for creation. I'm not necessarily in this for like, oh, look at me. Because like if you're successful in business, there's always going to be somebody in the pond that's bigger than you. Like if you're trying to like surround yourselves only by people below you, and you're going to be the big dog in the pond or the big dog, you're not going to be very successful long term.
Right. Yeah. There's always going to be something bigger, something better. You know, It's all mindsets, man. It's in my eyes. I mean, I don't see anybody being better than the next person. It's all preference, mindset, and how you want to do things. Everybody's going to do things differently.
Yeah. It's like, what do you want to do?
Yeah. What works for you? What works best for you? What makes you feel the most comfortable? And, you know, everybody has different goals. Like the last episode, you know, what are your goals? You know, if your goal is to make $100 a day, then okay.
Yep.
You know, so if you can get by with doing that, paying your bills, and, you know, your business is profitable at $100, which, you know, it could be, I guess, but it'd be very difficult.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but it's all numbers, like you say. You just got to figure out what works best for you. And are you going to let the day run you, or are you going to run the day?
Yep. And yeah, not only have like goal setting with the numbers of the business, but have it with yourself and do like wellness checks on yourself throughout the day.
You have to.
As you scale, if you don't have a good foundation below you, or not even scale like with multiple trucks, just scale with more volume and revenue, like you've been doing. It's like you're gonna find, I'm finding out where my limits are.
Starting to cap out.
Exactly. So you have to say, hey, how can I like prepare myself mentally to not
for the
have
next
this
step? Yeah.
Exactly. And like what I did, kind of what you're doing now. Like I remember last year I took a vacation in beginning of June, and hey, that's busy season, man. That's crazy. It really didn't do anything to my numbers. I just moved everything a week. But like in the moment, we're like, oh, yeah, I have to be all sacrifice. And then we're letting the day run us as opposed to aligning the day out and planning it all. And like, hey, I have margin and space in here for me, and I can healthily like run this business.
Yeah.
And it's like there's longevity in that as opposed to burnout you see in all these like hustle culture people.
Oh, man. Yeah, they only show you what the good stuff is. They don't show you what's going on behind the scenes, for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Because, sometimes I even have to put on a show just try to get through the day.
Yep.
And I don't think a lot of people understand that. So you definitely have to be careful on how you go about things, and the habits that you make in business, too, can obviously get you. Like,
Very
they can
true.
bite you in the butt.
Yeah, if you're trying to shortcut and do like kind of the fast route and don't have a good foundation and don't do things the right way, you're probably going to have a rough time.
Yeah, and I would say that consistency would play a huge part in that. If you got to be consistent in everything you do in business, for sure.
Correct. Yeah.
Tweak it here and there, obviously, to make sure that you're going in the right direction. You want to be going the right direction, not the opposite.
Yeah, we'll always tweak stuff and test stuff here or there, like split test stuff. But we're still consistently plowing forward at like 99%. And then we're like, hey, what if we do like one little adjustment here? We're not reinventing the wheel every day.
Even if I'm going 0.00025 to the better, then I'm still doing something right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's kind of. I mean, as long as I'm going forward, it doesn't matter by how much. I'm still happy.
And yeah, I'm in that phase right now with scaling. It's like, hey, if I'm trying to be 100% or bust, I'm gonna be miserable and burn out because I'm like, I'm going 90% backwards in one direction, but there's 1% I'm going forward in this direction is still winning for the day. So I have to see, hey, that 1% jump forward in this area is a win.
Correct.
I'm not looking at all the other BS that's going on. I'm not looking at all these to-dos I have of wrenching on my truck that I've been procrastinating because I've had other things kind of become more important.
Procrastination, yeah. I know exactly what you're
It's
talking
like,
about.
man, I gotta add all these soft wash pumps that I have to the trucks that are just sitting, and I'm not. And then your mind starts to go down like a rabbit hole of like, oh man. And then I'm like, but it's not. I don't have any jobs booked for tomorrow to do this, so I can wait a little bit and have margin with myself and give myself grace here.
Right.
Otherwise, you burn out because you're just constantly thinking. Your brain's always spinning, and it's like, oh man, what am I doing sleeping? I got all this stuff to do.
Yes, the sleep, and it's hard to fall asleep sometimes, for sure.
Oh yeah.
So like I said, don't let the day run you. You run the day. So that pretty much wraps up everything.
Yep. Good opening and closing statements right there.
Yeah, good opening and closing. I'm killed at that time. So, any questions? Leave them in the comments. Be sure to go and like and subscribe to all of our platforms. That's on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, Apple Podcast.
Yep.
Did I cover all of them?
I think so. Yeah. We need to start putting the reels on TikTok and Instagram.
Yeah. So
start cutting some more reels.
Be looking for that. As soon as we get some time, we're gonna start a page on there. We'll start blasting our reels on there and try to get a wider audience and try to possibly get some merch and stuff going on.
Yeah, you got the sick hats.
Maybe we can start giving away some Wash Bros material. I think we got that in the works. So be sure to start engaging with us, like and share our stuff, and we'll try to get some merch made and try to start giving away some stuff on here. So, like I say, if you have anything you want us to talk about, any questions you have for us, be happy to talk about it beginning our show. Go to Wash Bros podcast, like, subscribe, and tell all your friends about us. And we look forward to seeing you on the next one.
Yeah.